is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in.
Man, start of the season muting already. Got to learn the hard way. But I'm here. I'm your guy, Phil All Caps. Some of y'all know me as Phil Porto. Some of y'all know me as That's the Spirit. Either way, we're here to talk Knicks. We're here to talk whiskey. And we're here to have just a good time. So thank you for those that are in the community hanging out and rocking with us today. I appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see who shows up, what we get to do. And I'm excited to just talk with my guy, Apollo, my co-host, the co-host with the most, and be able to talk one of my favorite current whiskey brands, Pursuit Spirits, and talk with somebody from another fan base. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy, Mr. Apollo Reed, Mr. Guard Up Knicks himself. What up, what up, what up?
Yo, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Can't complain, man. I'm here.
Oh, hold up. I forgot. StreamYard's got something that, we're still getting used to it. So hold on a sec. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to remove you real quick. Here we go. Without further ado, my guy, Mr. Apollo. Woo! The crowd goes wild. What up, bro?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Can't complain. How's your day going?
It's going, man. I as I told you, I barely got any sleep last night, so I'm running on fumes right now. But I'm here, man. I'm doing good.
Yeah. So, is it something you can talk about? Like, what kept you up so late? You got 2 hours of sleep, you said.
So it was just a lot of my sleep schedules. Since I'm hurt and I'm not working right now, my sleep schedule sucks. So I ended up going to sleep really, really late, like 2 nights ago, and it just shifted everything. And then I had to get up early anyway. So, because I still had to take my kids to school. So it kind of caught up with me last night. So that's all it was. It just caught up poor time management. That was on me.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you being on the show, bro, because I know a rough night's sleep, even when you're feeling good, sucks, and it's hard to put on that face and be like, all right, I'm ready to talk about, things and act like I'm happy. So I appreciate you locking in and still being here for the show. And so if you're in the chat, we need y'all to be lively tonight. We need you guys to be participating in the chat. We need you guys to be able to talk with us about the Knicks, about what we saw last night, because honestly, I'm wicked excited. It was a good start to the season. And it shows a lot of promise, which some seasons, the first game has not given us that same kind of hope. But it made me kind of ecstatic, because I'll be honest, with going out of preseason, I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't, you saw some of the, comments of Karl Anthony Towns and, his place in the offense, and kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. What is he saying? Is this a negative take? Is it a positive take? Where is he really coming from? And so there was a lot of question marks about what we were going to see in the season, but it made me ecstatic, especially with that Brogdon retirement thing right before. We thought the roster might be going one way, took a massive turn another way. So what are your thoughts from just off the bat yesterday's game? What was your overall feel for what you got to see?
I was talking to one of my friends earlier about it, and I'm just there were points in the game where, we were up by a lot. There was points in the game where they even came back and took the lead. But I was just comfortable with how we were playing. I felt like how we were playing was more sustainable than how they were playing. It was a lot of ball movement going, and not much ball movement for them. There was everything going through Donovan Mitchell, basically. So just to see how big of a difference it was. He played 11 guys last night, which I don't think he's going to do every single night, but the fact that he even did it on the first night, you get Tyler Kolek with a good amount of minutes. It's just night and day almost, you know what I mean? But the ball swung around. These guys were unselfish. The rotations on defense, which I just that stood out to me the most. The rotations on defense. Of course, the offense is gonna fall into place once these guys start to hit shots, but the defense was just like, one guy will jump over to help another guy, and the other guy immediately goes to his man, and everyone rotates. Like, it was just picture perfect. And it was almost like, were you guys trying not to do that last year, or was that just not the system? You know what I mean? But that's pretty much the gist of what I was feeling. But yeah, man, I was pretty excited from what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that cracked me up was all throughout the game yesterday, we ended up seeing things that you didn't see last year at all. So there was a lot of Tibbs comments like all throughout the Twitter feed and everything like that. So I'm gonna go through some of my highlights from yesterday's game. We're going to spend like the first 40 minutes kind of just talking about yesterday and what we're seeing. And then we're going to talk about, the whiskey and then this upcoming game. But before I do that, I want to give a shout to those that are here early, chilling in the chat. We got Nuggy Fresh certified in the building. Appreciate you so much. We got Knicks Nation in the building supporting my guy, Jay Ellis, the host of the Nick of Time show. We got David Haas Jr. in the building. Appreciate you. My guy, Nostalgic Nick, is here, as always, showing support. We got David Haas again. We got Mr. Prezi the Boss. Good night, good night, good night. Knicks Nightcap, the best pound-for-pound show for your Knicks on a Thursday. KOT Gunshots. So shout out to my guy, Prezi, fellow whiskey enthusiast. But yesterday's game, let's go through that, all right? So we went yesterday, and we played these guys right here, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it was funny because I want to play a little video real quick from our last episode because we had my guy, Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey, on the channel, and he had a lot to say about our New York Knicks. And if you missed it, I did promise him that if we beat them, not if, but when we beat them, I was going to cut this exact segment and put it all over social media. And I'm a man of my word. So here it is. Here's that clip, and we're just going to enjoy it real quick. Wow.
We got Donovan Mitchell. We got Lonzo Ball. We got Jared Allen.
You know what you don't have? A visit to the Eastern Conference Finals this past season.
Lord.
You know what you don't have? Actual security in your team, because I already hear that you guys are possibly thinking of trading Darius Garland. When we show up on your schedule and it's Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges, like that should make Cavaliers fans shake a little bit. Let's be real.
Yeah.
1
week. We're playing 1 week.
I know, which is why I wanted you here, because I wanted, to be able to come back to you all over Instagram and all over TikTok and like have clips of you saying, when it comes to the Knicks being on our schedule, I'm not even scared. I think nothing about it. And so when we win after opening night, you know what clip I'm posting? That exact clip. That's exactly what I'm posting.
Loser has to send the winner another bottle of Silver.
So I will give it to him. He is a man of his word. He hit me up and he said, all right, a bet's a bet. And he took my address down this morning. So shout out to Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey for being a man of his word and sending over another bottle. I think we came up with a different agreement because I got some, Silk Velvet in my collection right now. But, shout out to him. But when it comes to yesterday's game, that bottle's so good. Yeah. I loved it. And tonight's are going to be pretty amazing as well. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the team highlights, okay? Even without Mitchell Robinson, which is our clutch rebounder, okay? Yeah. We had 58 to their 50 when it comes to rebounds. So Huck Porty, all the guys, were able to come through and still help us, with the rebound game, which is funny because they had both of their big guys. They had Mobley and they had Jared Allen. So that was huge for us. But I want to talk about this one specifically. We went 35% from three. So not horrible, but not great, but still, the fact that it really shocked me was that we shot 43s and we hit 14 of them. That is kind of different for us to shoot that many 3-pointers, not just as a team, but it was spaced out throughout so many different players. Like, it wasn't one guy constantly shooting and shooting and shooting. And Deuce was the most impressive, going 4 for 6, followed by OG when it came to 3-point shooting. So what do you think of our 3-point shooting? Because that's impressive, especially as bad as Jalen Brunson shot yesterday.
It was evident that was the goal. Get up a lot of 3-point shots, because that, from the get-go, that's what they were doing. They were taking a lot of threes. It was a high volume of threes. So but this team, they normally make. Am I still there? Yeah, I'm still there. They normally make their shots, especially Jalen Brunson, like you said. I'm not necessarily worried about the shot percentage. If not all, we're in the flow of the offense. I can't say all. Most of them were in the flow of the offense, but Deuce was big. You know what I mean? He came up a few times with some really, really big shots. And it's just to see the ball swing around the 3-point line until they find somebody. It's just kind of like, whoa, is this what we're going to get used to? Having Jalen Brunson had a whole corner to himself for his first shot. It's kind of like, is this what we're going to see going forward? And if that's the case, imagine what it looks like once these guys get it down pat.
Yo, sorry. I think I lost you for a second there.
Okay.
StreamYard had some technical difficulties. You were actually off camera for half of the take, so I apologize, for whatever just happened there. But no, I agree. It's evident that when Mike Brown talks about dishing for the open 3, and driving and then pushing the ball out, that is something that is going to be a real big focus of our offense. And you saw that early. One of the first plays for Jalen Brunson was taking it in, and then he did the same thing. But as soon as the defense collapsed to stop him this time, he kicked it out to Cat for the open 3. So spraying it out from the inside is something that it's obviously evident Mike Brown really wants to put a focus on this season. And so I love that. I love being able to look at that and say, okay, the offense is moving. So what did you think about the pace? Like, obviously this is still a learning process for our guys, but when it comes to pace, how did you feel we did yesterday?
I would say the pace was pretty good. It was pretty good. And these guys got up and down the court. There was a lot of, in the lane steals and getting up and down the court. I think the pace was pretty good. I think it could have been a lot better. I think these guys are still learning. Yeah. Still, obviously, but it's night and day, regardless of how slow it still might look. It's night and day from last year. So, personally, I give it about a 6 or a 7. It's just, in terms of how clean it looked and how aggressive it was. I think these guys they have the idea of what to do, and they're getting to the point where it's starting to click now. So it looked good. It looked pretty good. I think the pace was good. I just think it could, it can go up a notch for sure. Yeah.
And what I liked? I was listening because as Knicks fans, we can get behind our guys, and we can be like, yeah, our guys were great, this, that, and whatever. But listening to the announcers themselves talk about how last year the Cavs were the pace gods when it came to the East Coast, them in Indiana. And so they were talking about how we looked like we took that role in that game, that we were the ones keeping the pace, that we were the ones, outpacing the Donovan Mitchells of the night. And so I thought that was great because for me, you can talk a lot, people can talk a big game, but when push comes to shove, like, are we really seeing that? And that's what I liked about what I saw yesterday when it came to Mike Brown. Like, it looks like the team is actually doing the things that he said we were going to do. Yeah. And it looked good. We looked strong against the team that was the best offensive team last year. Like, we looked good. And yes, they were missing Darius Garland and De'Aaron Hunter. DeAndre Hunter. What is it, DeAndre or De'Aaron? DeAndre, right? Yeah, DeAndre Hunter. Yeah, DeAndre Hunter. But we were also missing Mitch and Hart, which helps our offense and our rebounding big time. So I want to give a quick shout out to this guy right here, because I honestly am very thankful that we're not having another Tibbs season, and this guy is our head coach. So if everybody can please just give a little applause. Mr. Mike Brown, everybody. This guy is seriously worth the applause. Another. So let's talk a little bit about what we saw from Mike Brown yesterday, because I think it's key. I think we really need to highlight what we saw from him, because he tried so many looks last night, so many different rotations, things that we've never seen. And some of them, if I'm honest, they're things I hope we never see again. But the fact that he tried them makes this a whole different era of basketball. When you listen to announcers, they have no reason to either be so hateful or so positive when it comes to the Knicks, but they were talking about the fact that Mike Brown listens and is trusting his assistant coaches. Mm-hmm. That's not something we saw a lot of, not something we saw a lot of at all. So what is your thoughts on what you've seen so far from Mike Brown? We'll start with the rotations, and then we can talk about some other things after that.
I mean, the rotations, like I said, he played 11 guys. That's something that we already are not used to. We're just not used to that. You know what I mean? It took him one game to change all of that up. The rotations some of them were odd. You know what I mean? Some of them were odd. I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't worried about a lot of them. There were some rotations where you might have had one defender on the floor. You know what I mean? Or maybe two. There might have been an OG and a deuce together at some points. But I think the rotations were really good. I liked how he mixed guys up. He, Cat got into some foul trouble early. So he took him off the floor, but it really fit into the plan of kind of getting Jalen to have some time on the floor by himself, and then getting Cat some time on the floor by himself with the guys. So I think that their rotations it was a welcome sight, man. It was a welcome sight. I was really happy with what I saw. Hopefully, the guys can continue to be productive so that we can see that all the time. You know what I mean? Because we got some guys like Kolek who, let's be honest, most of the fan base was okay with trading him 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So the way he came out aggressive, getting to the bucket, looking for his teammates, pinpoint passes in the pocket, pull up J's, and it's just that's what we've wanted to see from Kolek. You know what I mean? So
hold some of those thoughts on Kolek, because we're gonna have a little section. We're gonna have a little section coming up. But when it came to the rotations, some of the stuff, like you said, was a little bit odd. You saw OG Anunoby playing the 5, for some of those minutes. But it's great to see that he's trying to stretch our guys. He's trying to make them into more developed, well-rounded players. With Mitch being out, we don't know how long that's going to be, and we're going to talk about that very, very soon. But we don't know. He was just announced he's not playing tomorrow either. So having guys that can be flexible and everything like that is super, super important. You had guys like Porty and Kolek, really getting opportunities to shine. Like Nick Yak said, young guys that really contributed. And that's not words that normally would flow off our lips, in a Tibbs era of basketball. So I'm ecstatic for that. I love the fact that he did the different rotations. And then only one starter played over 35 minutes. That's crazy, to be able to say that and be ecstatic with it. Because if you look at the depth chart, every single player contributed. Every single player that got minutes contributed in some way, shape, or form. 11 players got minutes, and that's without Hart and without Mitch. That's crazy to me.
Dang.
That is so crazy to me. And so I'm thankful, and we're going to talk about this right now because I think it's worth highlighting. I'm going to give some flowers to the bench mob because these guys put up 35 points. How many times last year did we talk about anytime the bench would go in that we would have such a deficit at scoring? Like it was always such a backtrack. So what was your thoughts on the bench? Because that's 35 points, even with Yabusele having a dud of a basketball night.
Like last year when we came into the season like that, like I said before, that was last week. That was our main concern, was our bench. You know what I mean? We were really good. You know, I think our starting lineup was really good. It's just our bench was just it was lacking. I don't like to disrespect the guys, you know what I'm saying? But it was just compared to the other benches in the NBA, it just wasn't good, all year. So to have a bench like this to where these guys can the starters can sit extended minutes and just let these guys go out there and play ball. That's something that I've been waiting to watch for a long time, because you play Jalen Brunson all game long, and then you need him in the final 6 minutes of the game. Yeah. He's gonna end up playing 40 minutes a game, you know what I mean? And or Josh or Mikal or OG, and you don't necessarily need all of those miles on their legs. I would rather them be fresh. So to see how they, and not everybody played great off the bench, but there was continuity. There was a lot of chemistry building, and these guys let the ball flow. No one was ball hogging. A lot of people thought that Jordan Clarkson was just going to come in here and ball hog. And I'm like, you got to remember who the coach is. Mike Brown ain't going. Yeah. He's just not going to let that kind of stuff happen. He's pretty aggressive sometimes. So, you know what I mean? Just to see a bench unit who embraces the system and at some nights can be better than the starters if the starters aren't really, don't have it together. You know what I mean? It was a good thing to see.
Yeah. And to your point, I give flowers to Jordan Clarkson because he said even before he got here that he's known as the guy that's going to shoot, but that he knows he's coming into a different situation and that he has to be more, on point with working with a team that he knows already has something. And you've seen that. Like, you've seen a willingness to pass and actually really good passes as well. Like, he's taken that, yes, I'm going to shoot, but he's also taken a look, I can facilitate. I can find my guys. And so shout out to him for that. But I agree with you. Not everybody in the bench played amazingly, but everyone contributed in some way, shape, or form. And when it comes to the bench, you got to tip your hat off to Miles McBride. Miles McBride was a stud on the court last night. Like, this dude played both sides of the ball so well, going 4 for 6 from 3, shooting 57% from the night, 66.7 from 3, just contributing in every single way possible. So he was the main guy when it came to our bench. But before I go to the next point, I want to give a shout out to those in the chat. We got our guy Steven in the building. Appreciate you always coming through. All right. We got Mr. Astro is in the building. He said, we outside, tuned in from work, gonna be out but here. Appreciate you so much. We got my guy State of the New York Knicks. Said State from Harlem reposted this stream. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. If you guys don't follow State, follow my guy. If you want some of the most heartfelt takes, whether you agree with them or not, that's going to come from my guy State. He puts his all into his fandom. Shout out to my guy Fritz, Mr. NBA Economy Show himself. Appreciate you. Once again, right here, Mike did a good job. Mike did do a great job. Those that were waiting to see him fail have to continue to wait, and I'm thankful for that. And so we're going to move on from the bench as a whole. Last thing I want to give Mike Brown praise for is, even with Mitch out, he did not stray from his double big lineup that he wanted to do. He gave Huck Porty the opportunity, and Huck Porty stood up and actually performed the way that we needed him to. So shout out to Mike for next man up mentality, not caring that Huck Porty is a younger player, but also shout out to Huck Porty for actually filling that role very, very well, and doing a great job when it came to, going up against Allen and Mobley, two guys that are developed and spoken very, very highly of as bigs in the league.
Yeah, and Trey Jamison definitely stepped up next man up mentality as well, and he played his butt off.
That kid's got promise, bro. Like straight promise. Like when I see him, I feel like if he can just add a little more of an offensive bag to him, he can be like our Anthony Mason, like where he can play the four very strong. We can play him some center minutes and allow him to just bully. But that kid's got such promise. That was a steal for us, was picking him up. So shout out to him. Yeah. All right. This is your time, Apollo. All right. I asked you to hold some of your takes, but I had some concerns after Abu Dhabi. I had some concerns after the first two games because I was so Tyler Kolek hive last year. And I was like, if it wasn't for Tibbs, this guy would be playing minutes on any other NBA team. And then he came to Abu Dhabi and I was like, oh, dang. Like, am I going to eat my words? And then after Abu Dhabi, it's like he dusted himself off, played great in those two preseason games, but they were still preseason games, But last night, Tyler Kolek stood up and he performed. So I'm officially bringing, for anyone that wants to be part of the Knicks Nightcap Kolek Hive, you are invited. All right. This is Kolek Hive time right here. All right. So, Apollo, what were your thoughts on Tyler Kolek's performance last night?
Just confidence, bro. Like the kid looked a lot more confident. And I think a lot of it had to do with the him not having to worry about his future as a Knick. Currently. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what'll happen at some point. But I think he actually was worried about making the team, or not getting traded. Yeah. But he came out last night with confidence, and from the moment he came in the game, he was dropping, like I said, dropping dimes, getting guys in the pocket. It seemed like some guys weren't even ready for a lot of his passes, to be honest with you. He was hitting guys with these passes were so good that some guys weren't ready for them. Like, how was he getting it through these two guys in that pick and roll? Like he really was doing his thing. He came in, he stepped up against I forgot one of the bigs. He just pulled up a three in front of his face. So he was really aggressive. He's getting to the basket. It seems as though like a lot of those clips we saw from the summertime, they're not just summer clips. A lot of times we see these guys playing in the summertime and you don't see it, transfer to an NBA game. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely was. I was never against Kolek. I never wanted him to go. I was always a fan simply because, just the guy's college resume, a guy who has that kind of college resume, like he's kind of similar to Jalen Brunson in a way. Of course, not the championships, but just in terms of the player that he was, that doesn't leave you. You know what I mean? So he definitely stepped up last night. He showed everybody what they wanted to see. And even defensively, he didn't look too bad. You know what I mean? Like, of course, he's a liability on defense, but the effort was there. And the rotations were helping him to feel confident and help him wherever he needed to help on defense. So I liked what I saw from Kolek last night, and hopefully it continues. Yeah.
And I agree with you. I'm going to address Sherwin. Sherwin, you're my guy. But no negativity right now. He said, good night, force Kolek right. He can't handle it. Well, unfortunately, that's a lot of players.
You'll learn it. Yeah.
Yeah. You saw us trying to force certain people to go certain ways last night as well. It's just kind of part of the game. You look for weaknesses, but one thing you can't teach is confidence. Like it either is there or it's not. And that's one thing that usually takes players a long time to develop. Like you saw it took Quentin Grimes quite some time to get that kind of confidence. You saw that it took Josh Hart offensively that much time to get that kind of confidence. So I got to give it to Kolek because this is his second year and he's playing with that confidence. He's playing as if Tom Thibodeau played him 15, 20 minutes a game last year, but he didn't. You know, he was seeing 3-4 minutes here and there, you know, so you got to give him credit for that. And like you said, there were some passes that were like Stockton like last night, you know, like shredding a needle, Steve Nash style. And some of our guys bobbled it because they didn't think that that pass was coming because they could not predict that that would actually make it. So I got to give Kolek props, you know, like he is really good at what he does. He said, Kolek looking Mediterranean up there, bro. I can only do so much, you know, like I don't want him to look super pasty. You know, like then I'm like the Puerto Rican that's racist against like whites. You know, I can't do that. So I didn't want to go too far with it. But you know, it was great passes. So shout out to him. Kolek doesn't turn the ball over at all. Don't understand what Sherwin is talking about. That's one thing that I love last night, and what I've seen from Kolek in general. Like he is very good at not turning the ball over. Like that is a strong suit of him. He protects that thing. So I got to give him props like for the way he played last night, for the way I think he's going to continue to play. And so we're going to move on from Tyler. Might turn that into a hoodie, might turn that into a shirt. If y'all would like to, you know, purchase a Kolek Hive merch, even if he looks a little Mediterranean, Mr. Julian Bloom, maybe I'll turn down the melanin on your order. But if you would pick up one of those, let me know. I'll turn it into something. But yeah, merch is coming this year for sure, Mr. Nostalgic Nick. Appreciate you. But now, before we invite some of our guests up to talk a little bit about the whiskey, a little bit about, you know, what we're doing, let's talk about this guy and then some quick lowlights. First, I want to give props to this guy because we're going to start doing standout performance of the game. Like, I want to highlight the player that I think, and I think unanimously on this one that we think. Every week I'm going to ask you, but this one was like obvious for the first week. But OG Anunoby, 24 points, 14 rebounds, 3 steals, spelled assist wrong, but 2 assists, 1 block, 52.9% field goal, and 44.4 3-point percentage. Like, what were your thoughts on OG Anunoby's performance last night, Apollo?
I was thoroughly satisfied with that OG performance. He can do that all the time. He didn't have the ball in his hands a lot. The ball, like he scored within the flow of the offense. Everything that he did was within the flow of the offense. Getting out in the fast break, just, you know, it looks like he wants to be a defensive player of the year. And if he keeps having games like this, it won't just be defensive player of the year that he'll be the conversations he'll be in. But you know, I think that exactly MVP talk. That's what he's trying to get in. The way he was looking yesterday. If you could play that way every night, you know, in terms of, you know, give you anywhere between 19 and 24 and 8 and 14 rebounds. The rebounds stood out to me because OG in the past hasn't really been a stickler for rebounds.
Yeah.
So to see that he had a double-double of 14 rebounds, maybe it was, and you know, he playing against Jared Allen, he's playing against Evan Mobley, he's not playing against some small guys, and he went out there and grabbed 14 rebounds. So he was all over the place, offense, defense, hitting shots, getting to the basket. OG was just doing what he believes he can do every single night. I honestly believe that if OG had his own team, let's, you know, just say, not to say that he should.
Yeah.
If he had his own team, these are the kind of performances you would see often from him.
Yeah.
You know, because he's one of those kind of guys.
So that's a great point, transition point. Do you think that those numbers will suffer if Jalen Brunson gets going?
I mean, the way I feel is this offense is going to allow certain guys to have better games than others, depending on how the game is, depending on the matchups. I don't think there's any emphasis on any one player in this offense, and I think that's what makes it dangerous. You could have OG going for 24 one night, then it could be McCall, then it could be obviously Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Then of course, then it could be Cat. Like, how do you game plan for that if everyone's getting touches? So I think as long as OG gets his shots, OG likes to get his shots. You'll see his body language. If he doesn't get it, he'll see it. But at the end of the day, he only has bad body language for a good reason, because most of the time, if he's not getting the ball, like if he's upset, it's for a good reason. He was wide open, he didn't get the ball. Anybody who plays basketball, if they're wide open and somebody's just dribbling, you're gonna feel upset. But I think if he continues to have these kind of games, I think he can be getting the MVP conversation, man. But yeah, I liked what I saw last night from OG, and hopefully he can keep that up.
Yeah, and I truly believe that OG has come into this season trying to really establish himself in this Mike Brown offense, because I do believe that now that the hands have switched from Tibbs to Mike Brown, and Mike Brown is more inclusive when it comes to the offense, OG doesn't feel like he has to just be in the corner and just a piece defensively. Like, I think he understands that now is his opportunity to really show the league and, himself what he's capable of, because he could be that guy, on another team, Pascal Siakam can be, for the Pacers, OG could be that in another team. So I love the fact that he is stepping up, especially in that rebound category with Mitchell Robinson being out and us really needing that. That was a huge thing for us. So let's talk real quick. We got a few minutes before I bring up my guy Tim from from Pursuit United, and talk a little bit of whiskey, and then bring up one of my guys from the whiskey community to talk about this upcoming Celtics game. But before we do that, let's talk about the lowlights of that game. I saw quite a few lowlights just to point out, because we've been giving so much praise. So I think we should talk about some of the lowlights. But obviously Brunson going 5 for 18 was kind of like, dang, I can't believe it, but we also know with the history of Brunson, when he has a bad game, he comes back even better that next game. He still had 5 assists, which was good. Seemed to be able to, find his rhythm, like at least with bringing defenders to him and then passing out, which is helpful because he still demands, the defense to be guarding him, even if he's having a poor shooting night. But what did you see in Jalen Brunson's game that maybe was a little concerning last night?
Concerning? I didn't see anything concerning, honestly. And that's not just being a Knicks fan. Jalen Brunson he works harder than everybody else on his team, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? I truthfully don't think this game had any effect on him. I think he was just out there playing throughout the system. He missed some shots. I truly don't think it was a big deal. I think it was just him getting used to running up and down the court and playing at the pace that he has to play. He hasn't played at the pace that we've seen Jalen Brunson play at since last year. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not just getting up and down the court and playing basketball. It's not preseason. You know what I mean? Like, that's different. Like, getting to your own speed that you're going to have to play at throughout the entire season is not as easy as it looks. So, he's going to have these kind of games where, he took a lot of shots last night that I'm looking like, that goes in. If this is January, this is February, you know what I mean? Like, that goes in. Yeah. So I just really think that was really it. He still got to the paint. He picked up fouls. I think how many free throws did he have? I forgot how many free throws he had, but he took a lot of free throws last night. So there were some times where he did resort back to the ISO, but at the end of the day, it was when we kind of needed a bucket. So that's kind of when you want him to do that. Like, if he's just out there dribbling all day long, then that's concerning. But I wasn't too concerned. He did pretty much what he's supposed to do last night.
Yeah.
He just shots.
And the free throws is a great point. Like, as bad of a shooting night as you had, yet you still found a way to contribute 23 points on the night. because you're drawing the contact, So I love that he was still physical. I love that he still, was willing to find a way. And this is a great point by Jay Ellis. He said Brunson has to change the most out of anyone on the team. He will take some time to find a new rhythm. And it's true, like he started to elevate his career in an isocentric Tibbs offense, as opposed to all the other players that came here from somewhere else. They've at least had experience in what it looks like to play more so alongside your teammates as opposed to being the sole focus of the offense. So there's some adjustments that have to happen there for Jalen Brunson. But let's talk about the next one. Actually, we don't need to talk about this, but assists, I would like to see the assists be a little bit higher. Like the ball movement was there, but it was kind of like that pass, and then let me create my shot, as opposed to, all right, I got this shot because of the assist, So a lot of them were not really as many assists as you would think in a fast-paced moving offense. But the main takeaway for me that I want to talk about before we bring up our guests is this right here. The third quarter of doom. Like, I do not want to start seeing third quarters of doom like we saw in seasons past. This guy right here, Mr. Donovan Mitchell, absolutely erupted. Okay, like he had 21 points in just the third quarter. Like that's crazy. Like we could not stop Donovan Mitchell at all. And we gave up 37 points that quarter and only scored 22. Like we just can't do that. We got to find a way to limit that, especially if he's the main guy that's scoring time and time again. You got to give him less looks. You have to make it a little bit harder for him. Some of the guys were absolutely horrible last night, and which is why he had to take over. And so the fact that we weren't making it so hard for him that it forced those guys to score, like what was concerning in that third quarter. So what'd you see in that third quarter? That was kind of like, because I was texting with my brother, with my dad, with my uncle, with the nick of time, and we were like, yo, this third quarter is looking rough. So what were your thoughts?
I think Donovan Mitchell is a player who can get hot at any point. But once he gets hot, there's not much you can do about it. You know what I mean? You kind of just have to ride the wave. And make sure that what I've noticed happens with Donovan Mitchell is if you just guard everybody else and as much as you can play up on Donovan Mitchell, but it's very, very difficult. At times he's out there. He was going against Landry Shamet. Like, what is Landry Shamet going to do on Donovan Mitchell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't get mad at any of these guys for not being able to stop a guy who's a superstar when he's hot. He's an all-star, but when he gets hot, he is a superstar. He has one of the craziest streaks when he can get hot. And that's what happened last night. He got hot. He starts pulling from 2-3 feet behind the 3-point line, behind the screen. You can't really do much about that either. You know what I'm saying? You kind of got to ride the wave. But what I was saying too, shout out to Tune 1/5 now of Garden Knicks.
Let's go.
In the chat, I was saying to him, I'm like, bro, whenever Donovan Mitchell does this, he ices his teammates out. He does it all the time. He's done it since he was in Utah. You know what I mean? That's just what he does. And when he gets hot, you can't really get mad at him. But what happens is when he's not hot anymore, he still takes these shots. And that's what kind of messes up the flow of his teammates. And that's why last night I'm watching the game. I'm like, okay, let him do his thing. I don't see anybody else touching the ball. I'm cool with that. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. Just guard your guys. And what happened was once he got cold, there was nobody else that had it going. And then we took our lead. We took our lead right back. So, I mean, it's concerning when or if this happens all the time. But when it's a guy like Donovan Mitchell, and most of that, if you could look at it, most of that was against like the bench guys and like guys like Landry Shamet and stuff like that, and even Deuce. Like, but he can shoot right over Deuce. Like the way he gets his shot off, he shoots over damn near wings. So guys like Deuce and Shamet, once he gets you in the post, he gets you in the mid range, and he rises up. There's nothing you can do about it. So
yeah,
it's Donovan Mitchell.
Hey, well, let's just hope that, this is a season of Donovan Mitchell's being the one that destroys us and not the no-name guy that you've never said his last name except for when he became a superhero in the Garden. So let's hope for that. And so the last thing I'll say about last night is someone, I don't know who it was, but it might have been Sherwin. Sherwin was talking about how Mobley was making Huck Porty and Cat look small, defensively and everything like that. Like, listen, Mobley put on weight. Mobley is and will continue to develop as a good player. Like, he just is. He's good. There's no way around it. We know Cat is not a defensive player. We know Huck Porty's still, learning the system. Like, there's nothing to prove.
Sharon said that was not me.
Oh, okay, good. Whoever it was, if you want to see someone actually being manhandled, watch the freaking Wemby versus Anthony Davis series last night, where he seriously made Anthony Davis look like a child, like a new to the league child. Like, it was insane, and I am terrified of that man. He put on some muscle, and he got a confidence in him that is superhero-like over the summer. I am terrified of him. But Sherwin did say that he's watching the Pacers game, and they're neck and neck right now with the Thunder. Even with losing Miles Turner and without Halliburton, they're still finding a way. So, we'll see what this league, turns into. But without further ado, I'm going to bring up our first guest, and we're going to get into some whiskey pours as we continue to talk basketball. Obi looks better to me. That's because Obi is freaking a G, and I told everybody that he was going to develop into a actual player that you want on your team, but everyone told me I was a moron. So I'll take receipts on that one. Shout out to Obi Toppin. But we're going to bring up a brand that I truly, truly love their stuff. Like, I am a huge fan. The brand is called Pursuit United, and they are a craft whiskey brand. And they are just so good at what they do. I've been a fan of theirs, and being able to actually connect with some of the guys at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival made me even more of a fan, because I actually got to know some of the staff and what they've been doing. And it's just good stuff. And when they told me that their guy, Tim, was going to be the one that was speaking tonight, I was kind of excited, because me and Tim got a lot of interest. We have a lot of friends, that are mutual from life past, where it was before whiskey content and it was focused on music. And Tim also makes whiskey content. So we run in a lot of the same social circles. So he's going to come up. So do yourselves a favor real quick. If you guys can, go and grab a drink and have a pour with us. Like, obviously it's not going to be the same thing that we're drinking, but grab a drink, and we're going to have him come up, talk a little bit about the brand, a little bit about the pours we're going to experience. And then I'm going to bring up a fellow content creator that I truly love his stuff. Really good dude by the name of Keith. Goes by New England Whiskey Society. The only fault in his game is that he is a Celtics fan. But like I said, not all of us can, know good basketball. It's just part of life. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy, Tim, from this brand right here, Pursuit Spirits.
Yo.
Yo.
You guys are on a whole nother level. Like, I sat here backstage and I was like, yo, I don't know what any of y'all talking about right now. Like, the way you guys geek out on basketball is how I geek out on hockey. So that's dope. But yeah, I don't know what the hell y'all were talking about.
I will say there's some brands, when I've talked to them about being part of it, they're like, oh yeah, we got so-and-so who's an NBA fan, da-da-da-da. Pursuit Spirits was like, we got nobody. But yeah, I'm going to throw Tim into the game. So I was like, all right, Tim, you're staying backstage until it's whiskey time. You're in timeout before that. But, it is what it is. So tell us a little bit about you, Tim. Like you're how long have you been in the whiskey game, and when did you start working with Pursuit United?
Yeah, so I've been kind of in and out of the spirits industry for almost 10 years now. I started back almost 10 years ago at a place called Westport Whiskey and Wine. I ran a tasting room there. I started meeting people in the industry. I got laid off from there during COVID, and I was at Total Wine for about 9 months. Met some more people in the industry. Then I left there, and I went to Justin's House of Bourbon. Okay. After that, I was at Justin's House of Bourbon for about a year, and I've been with Pursuit for about 2 years now. So I was with Evergreen. I was at Evergreen Spirits for about a year or two. I opened the tasting room in Nulu here in Louisville. Was there too. I missed that one. I gapped that one. But yeah, so yeah, man, it's been wild. I've met a lot of really cool people. During COVID, I had a live show just like you guys are doing right now too. Met a ton of people in the industry, really helped me make connections. I've known Kenny and Ryan, they're the founders of Pursuit Spirits. Since I've kind of been in Kentucky, Bourbon Pursuit podcast was one of the first podcasts that I listened to when I landed here in Louisville. And so, yeah, here I am now. I've been with them, like I said, for almost 2 years. In fact, it'll be 2 years next week.
I love that. That's one of the podcasts that I really, dove into as well. There's a lot of whiskey podcasts, let's just be real. There's a lot of whiskey podcasts out there. But I just really like the simplicity, but the knowledge behind it and just the authenticity behind it, So I love that podcast. Tim, real quick, make sure that you hit that go live on Instagram for the Pursuit Spirits followers, and all that. And then if you could just give us, okay, perfect. If you could just give us a little bit of history of 3-4 sentences of Pursuit Spirits, just so that those that are following can get to know the brand a little bit.
Yeah, Pursuit Spirits is the first brand to be started from a podcast. So Bourbon Pursuit podcast started over 10 years ago. They started as a brand, as a single barrel brand for the first 2 years. Started in 2018, did single barrels up until 2020, and then started as a small batch brand. Terrible time to start as a brand, but we did it. We persevered, and here we are now. We have a spot on Whiskey Row right in between Bardstown Bourbon Company and Green River. So please come and see us. Come hang out. We have a beautiful tasting bar in the basement, full bar, cocktails. We have a very curated cocktail list. We just launched our fall menu. Really excited about that. And then we have our production facility over off Melwood. That's where everything started. And now we're on Whiskey Row as well. So pretty cool little place. Our whiskey and our rye, so our bourbon and our rye, is consisted up of 3 mash bills. We have 3 mash bills from 3 distilleries in our bourbon. It's Bardstown Bourbon Company, Tennessee Distilling Group, and the Finger Lakes Distillery out of New York. And then our rye mash bills are also from Bardstown Bourbon Company. And then we have 2 mash bills from Sagamore Spirits. We are the only brand that Sagamore Spirit contract distills for, so that's pretty cool to say too. Yes, there are other brands that have Sagamore Spirits and what they're doing as well, but we actually get full runs of distillation from Sagamore Spirits.
That's awesome. And for those that are watching that are a little bit newer to whiskey, which is why I love this show, because you got some people that just started trying whiskey when they started to rock with us on this show, and they're exposed to different brands. Yeah, Mr. Apollo, you go back 2 seasons, it was his first time trying whiskey that was not, with a Captain and Coke type thing. And he locked in, and, he's been on this crazy journey for 2 years, and he's killing it now.
I haven't had that crap since.
But what I love is there's that journey. So for those that were listening and they're like, wait, he said different distilleries that you've talked about before. There's difference between distillers and blenders. Pursuit is craft blending at its finest. Yep. They take some of the best barrels from those brands that he talks about and create beauty out of it. So it's some people can create something out of nothing, they create their own thing from the jump. But then people that take something and they're like, oh, there's so many things that could bring out the flavors if we added this or we did this or we did that. And those are a whole different kind of mastermind game when it comes to whiskey. So shout out to Pursuit Spirits for that. So without further ado, we're going to enter into what I like to call enemy territory. This is where we bring somebody who it is great in character, but just is poor in basketball knowledge. Like they just struggle when it comes to actually knowing what good basketball is. So this is where I'm going to bring up my guy Keith, New England Whiskey, for this segment of enemy territory.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
All right, Mr. Keith.
What's
Welcome to the show. How's it going, Mr. New England Whiskey?
I'm good. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing good. Man, he even had the audacity to wear a Johnny Cupcakes Boston Celtics shirt. You know, like, I appreciate it because from the music scene that I'm part of, coming from the hardcore music scene, that was my career for a while. Johnny Cupcakes was the homie, you know, like hanging out with us in Florida, like Johnny Cupcakes, salute, great. I used to have so many cupcake shirts. So I salute to you in that. But you have some audacity wearing that ugly green and white on this broadcast. Like, that is something that is unforgivable.
Hey, well, I mean, we are 0-1, so we're behind you in the standings, so maybe we can be forgiving in that regard.
Oh, we're going to talk about how bad you guys played last night in a little bit. But first, we're going to go into the whiskey portion so that those of us that, you know, are here that want to experience some new whiskey can. So first, we're going to start off with the double oaked because this is my freaking jam. Like, if you know me, I'm a huge double oaked whiskey guy, like huge double oaked whiskey guy. And this is easily one of my favorite double oaks on the market, like easily. Like there are some that were my go-tos and they got kicked to the side and Pursuit Spirits released this. So at 108 proof, $70, this is a must buy for me. So Tim, do us a favor and tell us a little bit about this blend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The whole concept of this actually started a little over 2 years ago. Ryan, our master blender, was hanging out with his wife. He was drinking a really buttery Chardonnay. They were just enjoying their porch time together. And he kind of had the internal thought of, where does oak Chardonnay get this really rich, buttery flavor from? And how can I put that into whiskey? So kind of after following down this rabbit hole of oak and wood and what it does to a product and how it can manipulate whiskey, I came across this really awesome oak profile that's now proprietary to us. It's a 3-year dry-aged medium toast French oak, and it's all three of our mash bills blended to 108, and then it sits on a secondary maturity process, and it'll sit there anywhere from 1 to 6 months, really depending on the seasons and the weather, until it hits the profile that we like. It's going to have really big butterscotch notes. I always like to say Werther's Original, but in actuality, it's really more the generic butterscotch candies that you used to get out of your grandma's purse, the ones with the cellophane with the orange top. You're nodding your head, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about.
Yep.
Doesn't always resonate with everyone, but Werther's Originals always resonates with everyone. And that's kind of the base of the double oaked. We're on, I think, batch 10 or 12 by now. This really exploded and took off a whole lot more than we ever anticipated. So it's pretty cool. And it's also kind of a thorn in my side for me. I'll let you in know a little personal insider information. The very first batch of double oaked was actually what I'm drinking right now.
Okay.
I thought it was going to cost me my job. So backstory. We were aging the double oaked. This is right before the very first batch launched. The boys said on the podcast, hey, if you're at the distillery, you're doing an experience, let somebody know. They'll go pull some from the vat for you. They'll let you try some before it gets released. It was a really busy Saturday, and I pulled some from the vat, and I left the lid off the vat. So all day Saturday, or for the rest of the day Saturday, all day Sunday, most of the day Monday, it sat open with the lid off, exposed to the air. Came in on Tuesday getting ready to bottle this new batch of double oak. Kenny pulled me aside and said, hey, you left the lid off of the double oaked over the weekend.
No.
We're going to do some test runs to see where we're at.
Oh,
we don't know if we're going
no.
to be able to bottle it. So I'm sweating bullets. I've been with Pursuit maybe 3 months. I'm like, this is my dream job. This is my dream career. I possibly axed $150,000 worth of whiskey.
Oh,
I'm done. I'm cooked. I'm toast. I'm not I'm not with this brand anymore.
Oh my gosh.
As this is internally going through my head, there's 9 people on the assembly line getting ready to bottle, and they kind of did a blind taste with the patch that Ryan had done, which he thought was going to fix what I messed up, and then the one that I messed up. So we just tasted everyone blind on it, and across the board, everyone liked my mess up batch.
Oh,
so,
wow.
The 3 CD batch, which is also labeled incorrectly, that's also my fault.
You're doing great, bro.
Which is what I call the Bob Ross batch because it was a happy accident. Ryan liked the technique of the lid being off the vat so much that he actually uses it here and there when a batch isn't turning out just the way that he wants it. He'll leave the lid off for a couple of days, and then it's perfect. So happy accident. Thank God that everyone loved my accident, the way it tasted. Everyone always asks me, are you ever going to be able to replicate what batch 1 was? I'll be honest. There ain't no freaking way that's ever going to happen because of it was an accident and there's too many variables to try to recreate it. But I will say the most current batch that we're running right now of the double oak is really, really close to what the very first batch was, which I'm currently drinking.
Sounds like
so yeah, there's a little fun story for the double oak for you.
Sounds like you're a trendsetter, man.
Like I said, man, Bob Ross, the Bob Ross batch.
Right.
Hey, if you think about it, most of us in the whiskey influencer realm, we all made him we all stumbled into it anyway. It's nothing we thought that we were going to do. We all kind of stumbled in it, met the right person that we probably said the wrong thing to, and they gave us a chance. So, shout out to Pursuit Spirits for their grace. It's a brand full of grace.
They gave me a chance when a lot of people wouldn't, and they've let me rock with them for now 2 years now. I'm very grateful, always very humbled. The fact that they talk me up as much as they do, kind of behind closed doors with other people, I still don't quite understand it, but that's my own internal imposter syndrome that I deal with. I'm sure a lot of us deal with as well. But yeah, they're great dudes. I love Pursuit Spirits. I love Kenny and Ryan. I love Bourbon Pursuit. Everything behind it that kind of propels us forward in what we're doing. It's pretty great stuff. And those guys are awesome.
I love it.
You can't not love what they're doing. You go from bourbon podcast to brand, you can't love it. You can't not love it. Right. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, Tim, real quick, Keith, if you can turn your rotation this way so we get a little more of you and your beautiful whiskey collection in the back. Yeah, show off that collection, brother. Show it off. Show off that influencer connection of mail calls. So, all right. So everybody take a sip. It's funny because the 2 that are up here, they're like, oh, mail calls. Yep, they do. That's what we, all get excited for when a brand ships us something to give a review of, and it just shows up on our doorstep. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So let's grab a sip, and then I'll have Apollo, and then Keith kind of gives some of their tasting notes. Apollo, bro, there's grace. You've been killing it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Celtics, Knicks before we go into the next pour. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. All right, Apollo, what you thinking?
On the spot once again. Let's see.
You got to get used to it. It's going to be every week.
I'm trying not to say the same things I say every week. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to remember what I said last week. But obviously he mentioned butterscotch. I definitely taste a hint of it. It's not like I taste the whole butterscotch candy in the glass. Well, in terms of the hints, I'm starting to pick up that note a little bit more. I was gonna say something more like a crap. What's the word that I'm looking
No,
for?
it doesn't taste like crap, bro. Not at all.
It does not taste like crap. That's just
Apollo,
obviously.
you know what the best part is, man? You're never wrong. Like, this is what I always tell everyone.
Right, yeah.
You know, I've been doing this a long time. I was in tasting bars first, you know, leading tastings and going into and being part of this brand. I can't even tell you how many people I've sat in front of and how many bottles I've opened. You're never wrong, right?
Mhm.
If you're tasting it and you're experiencing it, that's what's there. You know,
Right.
a lot of people go, "Oh, I can't do what you do," and everybody can. Everyone's capable. It could be as easy as you like it or you don't like it. If you want to get into and chop it up and see what's really there, it's there, man. That's what I always tell people. If you're
Right.
tasting it, 100% there, it's made.
It's there. So like,
Yep.
all right. So last week, I like I said, I'm not trying to repeat what I said, but I do kind of taste a little bit of like a caramel, but like a toffee-ish
Yeah.
kind of taste. But that's like the furthest I can go. Like that's pretty much all I got.
That's good, man. That's a great, yeah, hell yeah. That deserves a round of applause. Absolutely.
I love it. All right, Keith, I'll let you drop some before I give my thoughts on this pour.
Yeah, no, I mean, Tim talked about it too. I think for a rye, especially, you know, drinking a lot of the ryes that I get.
No, we're doing the double oak bourbon.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, you said rye.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, double oak. My bad.
Okay, cool.
All good.
Yeah, I was saying, like Tim was talking about earlier about the creaminess that you get. I definitely think, you know, for the double oak that you're getting, you definitely get that creaminess that you don't usually get in a lot of double oaks because you're expecting that oak to kind of take over that profile and be really prominent. So I think sometimes that can be off-putting for a lot of people, that it's too oaky, it's too saturated. So that creaminess idea of talking about your wine kind of resonated and sparking the idea really does come through on it. Like Apollo was saying, that toffee definitely hits towards the back end of it for me. You know, that those, you know, darker chocolate, you know, cherry notes, dark cherry type of notes, are really definitely come through really good on this one. I was, like Tim was talking about the new spot on Whiskey Row. I got to visit that, and that was kind of one of my first experiences with Pursuit. I hadn't really dove into them too much. So shout out, by the way, on that beautiful space that you guys have there, Tim. It was
Thank you.
really
Thank
awesome.
you.
But yeah, you know, just for that, like I was saying, for the double oak, you know, it doesn't overpower you. It doesn't kill you. For someone that's scared to try double oak because they've tried something with a little bit of oak, this is a good way to step up into that double oak world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this proof point's great too. You know, when we first shopped this, when we were trying to figure out what we wanted our perfect proof point to be, we knew we wanted to be somewhere between 100 and 110. Ryan proved it to where he thought it tasted best. This is where the government, the TTB, comes in. We found out that we actually needed a $30,000 piece of equipment to get our proof approved on our label. These are little things they don't tell you when you're starting a brand. Thankfully, Ryan grew up in Bardstown. He knows anybody and everybody in the industry. Shout out to our buddy Drew Colesbean over at the Willits Distillery. We were able to take our sample out to him, and he proved it for us, and it came out at exactly 108. He said, guys, this is perfect proof point.
It's awesome.
Don't mess with it. It's not 100 proof. It's not 101 proof. And you guys are one proof better than 107.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what I'll say, what I got initially was vanilla custard. Like, you know, vanilla is a token bourbon flavor. But the reason I said vanilla custard is because it had that buttery goodness that I love about vanilla custard. You know, like it's not just vanilla, but it's like, oh, they used a lot of butter to make this. You know, you get like that buttery feel.
Panna cotta or creme brulee.
Yep. Yeah, you get a lot of that. You get a lot of that in that flavor. I do get the butterscotch. I put butterscotch toffee cookies. So Apollo, you know, you're killing it, bro. You're killing it. And then, you know, I put that, you know, a lot of people will look at, you know, there's a trend right now, unfortunately, in the whiskey realm where it's like everyone wants hazmat, you know, and it's like, oh, that's too low proof, you know, like anything under 120 is Wimp whiskey, you know, and I'm like, yo, calm down. You're missing a lot of good bottles. And so for me, like, even though it's 108, I think it drinks higher proof than 108. With that oakiness that you get, it's like, you know, what I like about it is that the oak actually compensates for the sweet flavors that you taste before. Because if that oakiness didn't hit as hard as it did, it would be more of a dessert pour than like an everyday, I want to enjoy this pour. But the oakiness balances that so much that it makes it the perfect all-around kind of double-oaked bourbon. Like, so many brands either swing the pendulum one way, where like it's too much oak, not enough sweet, or too much sweet and not enough oak. This hits right in the middle, which I absolutely love. So I mean, that's what I got there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really testament to a lot of things. I mean, first and foremost, Ryan, our master blender, he has an amazing palate, and the way that he's able to pull things and pull flavors and create what he creates, 100% on him. And then, you know, being able to work with our distilling partners as well, you know, Bardstown Bourbon Company, Tennessee Distilling Group, and the Finger Lakes Distillery. We have 2 bourbon rye mash bills and a wheated bourbon mash bill. The Finger Lakes Distillery, they're, you know, craft. They make maybe 400 barrels of whiskey a year. And we actually get about 25% of what they create every year for ourselves as well. So, you know, and that has some, you know, some fruity, grassy notes too that really play and balance out with the Tennessee and the Kentucky component as well. So it's everything playing against itself and with each other, and Ryan finding the right ratio and blending it all together. The guy is an evil genius. I feel like he doesn't toot his own horn enough. I will toot it for him. The guy is a mastermind when it comes to blending. I would say expect to see him in the Hall of Fame in the next couple of years. Like, he is, he's up there. He knows what he's doing.
He's that good. All right. So for those that have been waiting patiently in the chat to talk a little bit about our Knicks and about, you know, this upcoming game that we have with our rivals, this is the portion that we call enemy territory. And we have a diehard Boston Celtic fan. Double do for being a Celtic fan. All right. Like, it's just a bad thing to be a Boston Celtic fan. So before I get into who you are, Keith, and all that jazz, we're going to go with this little quote.
Enemies have been attacking us for centuries. Our walls still stand.
So you can bring your enemy takes, but the New York Knicks will be triumphant. And if you don't believe me,
I'm just going to say really quick, who had the better hardcore scene? Was it Boston or was it New York? Boston
definitely.
Boston beatdown hardcore or New York hardcore? Don't get me wrong. New York's got some great bands coming out of Buffalo, but
no. Here's the thing. Boston beatdown was, if you want to go to a scene that you're not invited into and get stomped out, head to Boston. They had some great bands. Death Before Dishonor, Shere Khan, you know, Neon Hookers, all those guys were great friends. But you cannot go up against the Madballs of the industry. Like, let's be real. Madball defeats anything that's come out of Boston. So, Keith, before we talk, I will let you know anything you say can and will be held against you. All right? And if you don't believe me, watch the beginning of the episode where Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey had the audacity to tell me that Cleveland was going to win and that the Knicks were nothing. And what did I do? I cut that scene immediately this morning. And so to put him on blast a little more, he texted me this yesterday when the Knicks announced that Mitchell Robinson would be on load management. Texted me wicked early in the morning. He said, load management for the first game of the season? And I said, AKA he's injured. Love Mitch when he's healthy, but he's never healthy. Then during the game, he started talking smack. And he said, don't let Donovan Mitchell get hot. And I said, yep, you're fighting back versus our bench. And then he said it again. Don't let Spider get hot. And then I ended the night with that beautiful GIF right there Leonardo DiCaprio laughing his head off when we kicked their teeth in like I thought. And now he's sending me bottles of whiskey to man up because he made a bet. So if you want to bet on some whiskey, we could bet because I'm definitely confident in my New York Knicks. But let's talk about your fandom. How long you been a Boston fan? How long you been in the whiskey game, etc.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to, before I go into that, sorry, I know I'm not at the Garden, but I'm staring up, just if I was counting all the banners that are hanging from the rafters in the Garden. So, I've been a Celtics fan for quite a while. Basically my whole life, grew up in the Boston surrounding area. So it was, it was just kind of the way to do it. I do have a couple Knicks on my fantasy team, if that makes you feel any better. So I'm not completely against doing that.
Wait, what? Because I'll be dead honest, I would be caught dead before I put a Boston Celtic player on my fantasy team. Let's be real.
So I will not put a New York Yankee on my baseball team. I will not put a Buffalo Bill on my football team, but I'm okay with a Knick on my basketball team.
Okay.
I will mind you, my basketball team was 0-16 last year, and it's not looking any better this year. So also take that with a grain of salt. But, but yeah, so grew up always rooting for the Celtics. Paul Pierce is probably my all-time favorite Celtic between him and Antoine Walker. Growing up in my childhood, obviously we have plenty of legends that were a little bit before my time of being able to watch. Bill Russell, Larry Bird. Robert Parrish. Can't leave out Havlicek for stealing the ball. Not that was his only big moment, but, a lot of greats came through Boston and really changed the culture. Red Auerbach. But yeah, that's kind of, a basketball love there as well. Whiskey, like Tim was talking about, too, back in the COVID days. That's kind of when I started. Wasn't doing a show at that point, but, it's kind of what got me into it. Looking for some friends to connect with on common interest during times when there wasn't a whole lot else going on. And here we are 4.5 years later.
That's awesome. Not that you're a Boston fan. That's not awesome. But your story's awesome, and when it comes to like your favorite players, one thing that I wish is that some players would just like end their legacy with their basketball. Because I could give Paul Pierce as a great, basketball player. But every time he opens his mouth, he just loses more and more reason for anyone to like him. Like, he is just one of those guys where anytime he starts to talk, you grit your teeth. So, Apollo, meet Keith. Keith, meet Apollo. Apollo, what do you think about the Boston Celtics since he's here?
All right. Not a fan, obviously. That's pretty easy to say. What can I don't like giving them credit. You know what I mean? They've been good. They're a well-coached team. You know what I mean? They were NBA champions not too long ago. I guess that was a thing. At some point. But unfortunately, that was quite some time ago, about 2 seasons ago. That time moves pretty fast. And the fact that they did lose this year to the New York Knicks, I think it was, makes it even better. But that they're always going to be a team you got to worry about. They're coached well. They ran well. They ran to a T. They don't play in that front office. It's put me in a weird spot. I don't like speaking good about them at all. Yeah. So I got to make some bad stuff up, somewhere down the line. You know what? I will give them. You did mention Paul Pierce. I did like Paul Pierce back in the day. I give him credit for that. I wasn't a Kobe fan at that time, so I did go for the Celtics in that series when they went against the Lakers because I wasn't a Kobe fan. Just wasn't a Kobe fan. But yeah, that's where I stopped with all that green stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk, because you said you don't like saying good things, so I'm not going to say good things. We're going to talk about last night's game where the Knicks started their season 1-0. And I think that's going to be a beautiful trajectory of what we see. The Celtics went 0-1, which I also think is a beautiful trajectory of what we're going to see. They went up against the 76ers. And if you didn't watch the game, you're probably thinking, well, of course, Joel Embiid came back last night. Of course they lost to the 76ers. He's trying to prove himself that he's back. Well, no, they lost to a 76ers team where Joel Embiid had 4 points and 6 rebounds. So he absolutely did nothing. So when you look, the Boston defense had a really, really hard time guarding VJ and Tyrese, who we played against in the preseason and didn't really have a hard time against. Those guys went for 74 points combined out of 117. That is correct, people. 74 points within 2 players, which is like a 90s basketball like score at the end of 4 quarters between 2 guys. Which shows me that Boston's defense is suffering and that them letting go of Drew Holiday is going to bite them in the butt this season. Oh, yeah. They are definitely going to miss the defense of Drew Holiday because it was guards that destroyed them. 2 guards. So what do we have as the Knicks? We got really good guards. So I'm looking forward to the lack of defense from the Boston Celtics when we play them tomorrow. Another takeaway, they only had 16 assists as a team, which shows that within the roster, they have not really found their groove. And only Brown and White were really the ones you had to worry about offensively. And we know Brown and White's offensive game very, very well. So tell me a little bit about how you felt last night at the end of that game, Mr. Keith.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting game because, they had a, decent sized lead late in that game, which obviously they squandered. They still had an opportunity to win it at the buzzer, which obviously they didn't do. VJ, like you said, torched us. Mm-hmm. For a rookie, it was pretty impressive to watch in his NBA debut what he was able to do and accomplish in that game. He did miss those, free throws at the end of the game, which gave us that opening, but obviously it ultimately didn't matter. Yeah. But it's some of the trends that we saw kind of a little bit last season with the Celtics. They struggled a bit coming out of the half. You talked earlier about, you don't want to see those third quarter woes, and the Celtics kind of struggled, into the third and into the fourth where they lost their lead. Offensively, I thought they played a bit better in the second half than they did the first half. So I definitely think they have a lot to figure out. Obviously Tatum's hurt. We might not see him this year. We may see him this year. Who knows? But right now it's not at the forefront. You got to figure out how to win and play good, solid basketball without him because he's not coming back anytime soon anyway. So I thought they did some good things right. And they got work to do elsewhere. We struggled shooting the 3 a bit last night, which was a high point for us last year, was being able to do it. Sam Hauser didn't really get it going from the arc last night, hurt us a bit. Derek White looked like a different person from the first to the second too, which was nice. The Celtics are going to have to rely on him this year if they're going to have a chance at competing at, a mid-range playoff spot. I'll be honest, I don't see us obviously as a top 3 team in the East right now without Tatum. We definitely have a lot of work to do in that regard. But I still see this team as a team that should be competing and fighting for a playoff spot. Last night was kind of the first steps in figuring out what you have on the floor when the games actually count.
Yeah. No, I love that. And before I throw it to Apollo, I love the honesty. I love the, we don't have Tatum. We're not going to be a top 3 team in the East, but we want to fight. Because I will be honest, the Tatum thing is unfortunate. One of the best players in the league. Hate saying it because he's Celtic, but anyone who watches the game of basketball knows that he's an elite basketball player. But I think that paired with the fact that you guys made such drastic moves, moving away from your actual championship team is a double combo. It's just crazy to think that you have a winning formula your main guy goes, and instead of using the like continuity that you guys already have in what, you know, a winning team looks like, you get rid of two of your main pieces from that winning team in Porzingis and in Drew Holiday. You know, like it's kind of like a mid rebuild, you know, like it's one of those things where it's very, very interesting to see that the Celtics went that route, you know, because a lot of times you don't want to completely fall out of contention after just being, you know, a chip winner. So you do what you can to add to what's already there. But it seems like Boston did the opposite, you know, and kind of just burnt it to the ground a little bit, you know, and see what happens. So what are your actual thoughts on tomorrow's game, and also your actual thoughts on the New York Knicks roster? And Apollo, what questions do you have for him as a Knicks fan as well?
Who want to go first?
Give him your question. I'll let him answer all of those in like word vomit.
So number one, to get this out the way, because it is a high relation to what I'm going through right now. Keep that man, Jason Tatum, off all hardwood floors until the end of the season, please. From my Achilles to his, yo ass. Excuse me, but please stay off the court. I tore my Achilles like 2 months after him, so I could not imagine trying to play a competitive basketball game anywhere near when he's trying to play a game. And he's trying to go back towards the most important and most competitive time of the year. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think he should do that. So I guess my question would be, do you think it would be wise for him to do so? And if he did, do you think you guys have a chance at going deeper into the playoffs and possibly winning more games than you guys think you would this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all fair questions and fair points. And, you know, with the Celtics getting the roster, I think it has a lot to do with Tatum. I think if he didn't, you know, even if they didn't win, let's say the Knicks still win the series, the Celtics, you know, don't go back on to the next round, they don't move on to the NBA Finals, I think you still potentially have to look at tearing up some of that roster. You're way over the salary cap. You're selling the team. A lot of constraints going into that too. So the one name that we really haven't talked about that the Celtics losing to, I know Holiday was an elite defender, but also losing Al Horford is a big loss too. And that one I think is a little tougher to swallow than Holiday because he was a free agent. More so than Holiday had a big contract. And when you're trying to balance some of the sale and some of that, it really goes into effect. But watching Horford walk when you maybe could have found a way to get him in there, you know, I think that one hurts. Just his leadership, his passion, getting to watch him win his first ever title for someone that is a true gamer in a Celtics uniform, I thought was a bit tough to do. But in terms of the game tomorrow, I'm going to miss not being able to just foul Mitchell Robinson all game so that you guys can't shoot the ball elsewhere. You know, in clutch moments, if we can keep that close, will hurt. But, you know, I think there's a lot of things that the Celtics can do to keep the game competitive. I think they're not going to want to start off 0-2. Obviously, their season ended against the Knicks last year. It's where Tatum got hurt. So there's a lot of passion that go into those games. You know, you always talk about the revenge factor. So I think that kind of elevates it. I think the Celtics, you know, look maybe, you know, the Knicks, you know, the Cavs you guys played in your first game, the Pacers are kind of teams that are trending ahead of them a bit right here, right now. So you kind of try to elevate your game in those moments and play as good as you can. So I think they might kind of think about it as going out and playing for Tatum, trying to get that first win of the season, try to get it against the people that ended their season last year. There's still that same core that was together. So I think the Celtics will try to keep it, you know, close. Maybe they can get a third quarter swing in their favor and play. But I think the Celtics need to come out hot. They need to shoot the ball well, and they need to get the three started early. If they're unable to get the three going like they struggled in the first game, I think it'll be difficult for them to stay in there. Like you talked about the lack of assists that the Celtics had. Without the three, they struggled to move the ball as well. So I think, you know, establishing the three-pointer early is going to be key to their success in the game against the Knicks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's all good takes. Like I didn't even think about the Horford thing. Like Horford going to Golden State. That's just gut wrenching. Like you invest all this into an older guy, believing in his career still, and feeling like that was such a good match. And then just watching him walk, is gut wrenching. And so I understand that you guys, it is a big change, for you guys this season. And as a Knicks fan, like, I like it. I like the demise of our rivals. It makes me happy, but honestly, I feel like it happened maybe at the right time, like, because yes, it is gut wrenching, but like Apollo said, how many times have you seen a player come back from an Achilles too early, and it does even more damage than good, like it actually hurts that player, hurts, the future of their career, and hurts, the longevity of that player's career. Like it's unfortunate to watch a player come back too early. And so I'm with Apollo on that. And so maybe knowing that he's going to be gone probably the whole season, if, the only reason he comes back is if you guys are in, a playoff position that is worth fighting for. But to sign guys like Drew to a big contract, or, Porzingis back, or Horford to another extension, would be hard when you're losing a year on that contract, like you're ultimately paying those big name players for a 8th seed, like a play-in tournament spot, that Tatum might not even be able to come back to fight for, so I think it's kind of the right move, even though it's unfortunate for some Celtic fans. So I think we come away with the W though tomorrow. And what I want to do here is give you the opportunity to see how much you actually believe in your squad. In the same way that Mr. 2 Ounce Whiskey and I had a little wager and he lost, I'm going to do a 6 ounce sample pack. Whoever loses has to send the other person some delicious 6 ounce samples. And these can't be like, the bottom shelf, I paid $16, for this whole bottle of whiskey and I don't even like it enough to use it in my old fashions kind of whiskey. Like I'm saying, we actually send each other 6 solid 2 ounce sample pours for whoever actually wins the game. You want to wager?
Yo, can I get it? Can I get it on this too? Because I will 100% bet against the fucking Knicks for the Celtics. I won't even watch it. I want to bet against it.
I'm down.
I'm a degenerate. I will throw my head in the ring. Let's go.
I'm doing it. Let's do it. All right. This is the way, as a non-basketball fan, I'll let you into this, Tim. All right.
Yeah, let's go.
If you lose in my 6 ounce sample pack, I also want a Pursuit hat.
All right.
The one you're wearing right now. I want that hat. All right.
I want that one.
You got
we got to go right there.
You're gonna lose. Wait, hold on. You're gonna lose. So what do I get?
You're gonna get the 6 samples.
No, Mo. I want a hat.
But you're coming into a space. You're betting on a space that you don't even rock with. So right now you're like that kid that wore the band shirt to the concert. Like the fact that we're still letting you in
to the concert. I'm that guy.
Okay, well, that's probably why you think you deserve a hat.
I'll always wear a band shirt to the concert.
We'll talk about this off the air. All right. But Keith, are you in on the bet?
Yeah, I'm down to swap some samples. I'm all for it. So.
All right. Everybody in the chat, you see it, you hear it. Now we're going to go on to the next pour. And so right now we're going to go into this right here. This thing is crazy. Like, this thing is just different. Like, straight up different. This right here is the triple mash rye. And it's not just the triple mash rye. It's the triple mash rye barrel proof. And this thing is crazy. Like, straight up crazy. So give a little of the mixing story for this one, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, this just goes back to working with really great distilling partners and what Ryan's capable of in his blending capabilities. It's really hard to make bad whiskey when you're working with really good whiskey. So shout out to Sagamore Spirits and Bardstown Bourbon Company,
Facts.
using all those mash bills and being able to create something great. It's 295.5, so it's a 95.5 from Bardstown Bourbon Company and a 95.5 from Sagamore Spirits, and then a 52.43.5 also from Sagamore Spirits. Now, we'll let you know, it is very heavy in that 52.43.5, so it is definitely a bourbon drinker's rye.
Yep.
You know, it's not going to hit, you know, we have this, I will say, because I am, at the end of the day, yes, I'm with a brand, but I also have a very consumer mindset, right? So when you say rye, you go, I don't like rye. It's too spicy. It's too this, it's too that. It belongs in a cocktail. I don't disagree with that. But when you play around with other mash bills and you bump up that corn's always going to be sweet, right? Rye is always going to be spicy. So you kind of start tipping the scales of that spicy and that sweet. You get to play with both realms of it. And being really high in that corn content, you kind of balance out a lot of that spice that you get with that rye. I would say I'm probably 8 to 9 times out of 10 of people saying I'm not a rye drinker and go away being a huge fan of our rye, whether it's the 88, the 108, the cask strength, the double oaked, or any other iteration that you have that we do for it. Our rye is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's not just me being a big fan of the brand. If you see me drinking something outside of our double oak bourbon, which I'm sipping on right now, it's our rye, day in and day out. The 88 is phenomenal. I wish it got a little more love, but you know, when you're speaking with American whiskey, that American consumer is always going to lean towards bourbon. But really getting into it, the 88, the 108, the double oak, the cask strength, our rye is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It really is a bourbon drinker's rye. And I would encourage a lot of people, you know, in the chat or, you know, watching this afterwards, go check it out. And it doesn't have to be Pursuit rye. Check out any Kentucky rye. You know, there's a lot of categories that we call this. We call it a bourbon drinker's rye, a low rye, a Kentucky rye. There's a lot of consumers, a lot of producers that are making rye that isn't what you would normally think of when it comes to rye. So I will toot our own horn, but just Kentucky rye or low rye in general, there's a lot of flavor profiles there. You know, when you get into bourbon, you're going to see kind of these same flavors across the board until you start getting into extra aged, hyper aged stuff. Let's say stuff over 10 years old when it comes to bourbon. That's when the complexity of flavors are really going to start to show. With the rye, it starts showing flavors at 6 years old that are way more complex than you'll ever see in bourbon. So if you're a bourbon drinker, first and foremost, and you're looking for a little bit more in what you're drinking and what you're getting out of your palate, I would highly, highly push you towards rye just in general. And not just your 95.5 rye or your 100% rye, but like I said, once again, that Kentucky rye or that low rye. There's a lot of brands here in Kentucky that are doing that low rye that would surprise a lot of bourbon drinkers. And I would say more or less convert them to being a more rye drinker than they are a bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
I would say if there was more rye that was readily available, that is kind of in this profile of what we're doing here at Pursuit, I would be a rye drinker day in and day out every single day.
Yeah.
But bourbon is the forefront. Bourbon's the runner, right? So that's great. Drink bourbon. Bourbon's awesome. Drink whiskey. Drink American whiskey. But if you're looking for a little bit more, go explore what's going on with rye. And like I said, It doesn't have to be us. Of course, I want it to be us because.
Now, I'm going to interject.
Please.
Because this is the Pursuit United, like Pursuit Spirits episode. And like, I love what Ryan has done with this bottle. Like, absolutely love it. Like at, what is it? 121 proof. Like I talked about the other one, like drinking past its proof. Like this one does not drink that high of proof. And so 2 things real quick. First, I apologize to the chat if you guys are trying to talk. For some reason in StreamYard, it's not showing us any of the chat. Like, I have no clue why it's not showing anything in the chat. So I just posted something for you guys to see. It's where you can pick up Pursuit Spirits on their website. I want you guys to like go there and enjoy it. But for some reason, I have no clue why we're not seeing any of your guys' comments. So, Apollo, if you want to try to leave something and see if I see it, but I'm not seeing anybody else's. So I apologize to the, all of you that are in here right now, talking it up with us. For some reason, it's just not doing it. It says viewer comments won't show up unless this stream is public. I don't know.
Mine posted. I don't
know. So, but we're going to keep talking. I do want to say pick up Pursuit. Pick up this bottle. Like, this is a great bottle. So shout out to Ryan for everything that he does. Also, shout out to Kenny Coleman for making this happen. He's the one that I was in contact with. And, he was one of the first brands that I reached out to because I just enjoy their stuff so much. Matter of fact, I picked up this guy and I'm waiting till probably 3rd, 4th game in the season to open this up with some friends when I get back to Florida. Pick this up, which was a distillery and KBF release only, which was the Derby Town. I'm unfortunately upset that I didn't get the Anvil one. That's one that I really, really wanted, but they were selling like hotcakes. What is it? Old Anvil or something like that?
Yeah, Old Anvil. It's an 11-year cash strength, originally from Heaven Hill.
Yeah, rub it in. Thanks. But so we're going to drink this one real quick and see.
No, I will say too, so there's a lot of avenues that you can go through if you're not here in Kentucky and you can't come down to the distillery and get what we have here available. You can go through what we call P Club, and that's the direct to consumer. It's through Sealbach, and you can get any of our products. You go to our website, pursuitspirits.com. And you can get our products delivered directly to your doorstep. There's exclusives that you can only get there with P Club that we don't offer anywhere else until you're a P Club member. And then we will, if we have any extras, we'll roll them out. So they're at the distillery or at our spot here down on Whiskey Row. But there's a lot of, like you brought up, that Derby Town, that Old Anvil was a P Club exclusive up until about a month ago. We started selling it out of the gift shop at Whiskey Row. But if you want to get your hands on our stuff, the best way to go, pursuitspirits.com. It will go through Sealbox. P Club is the way to get our stuff. If you decide to go that route, put my name, Tim. You may or may not get a little something extra. I may or may not get a little something extra. But if you want to get your stuff, or you want to get our stuff directly to your doorstep, that's the best way to go. P Club.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so I'll throw it to you this time, Keith. What's some of the things you're getting off of this?
I gotta take a good sip first. I tried to get some water in there to help clear my palate from one to the other, just so I'm not picking up on the other. I definitely get that rye hug. You get that spice. Definitely, you're not on that buttery wine feel on this one, but it is. I will say, like you were saying, Phil, it definitely drinks under its proof. I would not have guessed this in that 120 range. I don't get. Sometimes on ryes, you get a bit of mint. I get the mint on the nose, but I do not get it on the palate, which is a little surprising. Like, usually when you smell that mint, you're going to get it to come through.
Sure,
so I
sure.
think that this is kind of true to, like, a true rye. The mint ryes are okay. I'm not dissing those. There's plenty that I like. But I like that this is, that rye spice and that rye forward, a Kentucky hug in the rye format.
Sure.
Trying to see what else I can.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing. This is the thing that I, kind of, and I definitely want to hear what you're saying, but I just want to say this really quick too, is working with those 295.5s, you're gonna get some of those minty spruce notes on the nose, But on the palate, because, like I said, it's heavy in that 52-43.5, you're going to get more of those bourbon notes that you wouldn't typically get with a rye. So it's really the marriage of both worlds, right? You get on the nose, you get all those rye notes, but on the palate, you're going to get way more bourbon notes than you would expect or think they're going to be in a rye. So I love that you brought that up. The nose and the palate are definitely they compete with each other a lot on this. So I love that you brought that up.
It really does throw your mind for a loop because a lot of times what you're picking up in your nose, like I said, you get through on the follow through, and we're just not there on this. But and that's in a good way too, just like you were saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do go back to some of the characteristics of that double oak, not necessarily in the oak profile, but I am picking up some of those dark fruit notes, a little bit of that toffee chocolate on the back end, and some of those things. Like, truthfully, if you gave these to me and I just sipped them, I would have a much more difficulty picking the two of them apart. Just at least personally for me, because like I said, I wasn't getting a ton of saturated oak on the double oak, but I would have a lot of trouble on these in a side-by-side tasting only wise. But
yeah. Apollo, what are you picking up?
I mean, I guess I can say honey a little bit, but I definitely taste more oak than the other one. I guess that might be a little bit of the difference between the two. I don't know if that's exactly what.
Like I said, man, if you're tasting it, it's there.
Whatever, it's there.
Yeah.
The only other
believe in yourself, man. Bet on yourself. You got it.
Right. So the only other taste the only other taste I can pick up is like like a plum-ish kind of thing in a way.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's the seed part mostly. I don't know. It's weird. Like I can kind of taste like some kind of sweet from a plum in a way.
Yeah.
Or
I will tell you this. So building on tasting notes, there's a lot of entry level that you can say, and then you can build on that. So you said plum. Plum's a stone fruit, right? So a lot of times when people are tasting things and they can't quite pull out what it might be, they go, this is kind of in the realm of a stone fruit.
Okay.
And then the more that you develop your palate and you start to learn what's what, you can kind of say that along the line. So the fact that you said plum is awesome, but 100% stone fruit is in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're rocking.
And what I love about that, Apollo, is that like when it comes to bourbon, 90% of the time, if you say something like vanilla, maple, or caramel, you're going to get it right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to fruits, that's not always the taste that you're going to get in a bourbon or rye. There's some that you can taste and there's no fruit taste to it. So the fact that you're picking that up is incredible. And so for like some clarity for me, the rye spice is a very general category for those that, don't drink rye. There's so many different things that can be in a rye spice. It can taste like actual like baking spice, like it can taste like he said earlier, it can be like that minty spice. It can be like a nutmeggy type of spice. This one I'm getting straight up like cinnamon spice, like spice with cinnamon notes. And I absolutely love it. And it's the reason I love it is because I'm not the kind of guy that's going to put cinnamon on a bunch of stuff. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you got to sprinkle cinnamon on your latte. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like I'm not going to do that. Like, stop, get that away. But when it comes to like Cinnabons, it's already sweet. And that cinnamon adds that whole little like new layer of flavor that keeps the sweet balanced with the spice. And that I'm going to love, and so that's what I love about this is it's got that cinnamon spice, but it also has that fruitiness. And so the fruits that I'm getting are more like your dark fruits. You know, I'm getting like black cherry, dark cherry mixed with cinnamon spice. And for me, that's a perfect rye. Like I am a rye drinker, but I love a bourbon drinker's rye as well. And I think the problem is like a lot of people that say they don't like rye is because they try to go to that like extreme rye where you know like there's no hints of sweetness to it, and it's just like bam, hits you in the face. And so for me, this is a transitioner's rye, you know, like someone that wants to get from bourbon to bourbon and rye. This is that perfect blend of tasting something that's absolutely delicious. You get the sweetness that you want from, you know, a bourbon, but it's not overpowering with the spice of some ryes. So for me, this is a knockout bottle. Like this is great. This is something that like I can make sure that friends that I want to enjoy rye are introduced to rye with this bottle, which is crazy because you don't say that about a lot of 120 plus proof bottles. I'm going to introduce somebody to this, you know, like if someone's like, oh, I don't really drink bourbon. I'm like, all right, here's 125 proof, you know, like that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing like an 80 to 95 proof, you know, bourbon to introduce them to. So this to me is just a knockout pour.
Man, I love that you said that and brought that up, you know, kind of like playing off of this and playing off of flavors is there's a lot of profiles and a lot of flavors in this category, right? And so you can say the base flavor, cinnamon, vanilla, caramel, and then you start breaking down that more. And the more that you explore that on your own, the more you're going to find that there is an array of cinnamon. There is an array of vanilla. There is an array of caramel, right? What is that really, right? So there is, I can't even go into it because there are so many different kinds of cinnamon. There are so many different kinds of vanilla, right? One of my favorites is Madagascar vanilla. Madagascar vanilla is earthy and sweet, and you'll get that base vanilla profile, but there's something that's a little bit more, and there's something that's a little more complex there. And I get some of that with our cask strength rye. It's not just vanilla, it's something else. And I'll throw this note out and people go, what's Madagascar vanilla? I encourage you to go down that road and experience what Madagascar vanilla is versus what you think a regular vanilla profile would be. And so, you know, when you listen to people talk about tasting notes and what they're getting, the reason that they get so complex with things is because they have that Rolodex of flavors that are up here and they can tap into that. So I will tell you this. Is there some bullshit in what happens in tasting notes across the board with influencers or with tasting panels? Sure. I mean, but that's with anything. But also, there's such an array of flavors. You can have the mother, which is your profile, but there's other things that kind of trickle down from that. And that's why I love our cask strength rye so much. Is yes, you're going to get those base profiles, but the more that you dive into it and that you explore, you're going to find an array of flavors that you would never get in a rye or what you think is a rye. And once again, this is not just Pursuit, okay? Yes, I want you to drink Pursuit. That's why I'm here. But I also want you to explore in what's happening in American whiskey. It's not just bourbon, right? It's not just rye. We go back to this Kentucky rye. There is so many things that are happening. And when it comes to American whiskey, am I a bourbon drinker? Absolutely. But Phil, this is with you too. I'm a rye drinker. Yeah. And the more that I've been in this and I start to like just enjoy, there's so many things happening with rye that this is kind of like a baby out with a bathwater situation. Explore rye. There's so many things happening. I have a 20-year-old rye over here in my liquor cabinet that is outstanding. I would put it up against anything that you say is the best whiskey in the world. This 20-year-old rye is phenomenal. And you would never, I would say top 10 ryes that I've ever drank in my entire life. Rye is awesome. I love American whiskey. I'll drink bourbon till the day I die. But American whiskey, when it comes to rye, that is something special.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So I just posted in the chat. I do not know what is going on with the chat. This is probably the weirdest experience I've ever had with StreamYard, where everything kind of started to fall off. So we appreciate the people that are still rocking with us right now. But it is a very weird situation right now when it comes to the chat. But I did post, if you guys are watching this right now or in the Playback Gang, I put where you can follow Keith, where you can follow United Pursuits. And I am also going to put where you can follow Tim himself. Because
I'm not important. You know.
Oh, stop.
You don't need to follow me. Just follow Pursuit.
So follow these guys, make sure that you're picking up their stuff. They are incredible. And Tim, you said that you're here to get people to buy Pursuit. Yes, but you're also here to buy me a hat because that's what's going to happen after tomorrow night. So I thank you for that because I really want to add to my hat collection. As you can see in the back, that's what I love is hats. So it's going to be cool to add a Pursuit one to it. So I appreciate both of you.
Not only will I throw you in a Pursuit hat, I'm also a hat guy. I probably have 150 hats in my collection. I will also throw you in some weird retro hat.
All right.
If God willing win, I will also put it in there as well.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. I'm down with that.
But you're going to have to send me an email because I will not be participating or watching anything that happens.
What's the greatest thing? What's the greatest thing? Is that no matter what happens tomorrow, the next day I'm going to text you the score and the Knicks are going to win no matter what. I know you're going to have no clue.
Totally right.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate both of you. Shout out to you guys. Pick up Pursuit, follow New England Whiskey, for some really, really great whiskey content. And also just to gloat on his page when we win. It would be great for him to wake up on Saturday morning with nothing but Knicks fans laughing at him for the score. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Any final takes from either one of you?
Well, I guess my final take will be, I apologize. I never got to circle back to Apollo's original question on the Celtics. So I did just want to touch on that.
Yeah.
Was, what you were asking, Apollo, I think it really depends on where the Celtics stand. And just to recap, for those that don't remember or joined after, Apollo's question was just, if Tatum comes back, where are you kind of interested in that? You don't want to push him, you don't want to rush him, which I agree with. So I think it really depends. If you're fighting for somewhere between a 4, 5, and 6 seed, so you're out of the play-in tournament, Tatum feels good, even if he's on a minute restriction, I'm okay with seeing him get back out there. Even if the Celtics don't do great, I kind of want to see Tatum take the floor this year, play some competitive ball, do a couple of those movements, feel comfortable because like Phil was saying, sometimes you come back and you're not the same player because you're worried about that Achilles. I want to see him come back, at least get some moves and feel comfortable and then feel better about himself going into next season where he knows he can make some of those jukes and jives and he's not shying away from it. Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand on that. So I wanted to make sure I got back to your question there.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
But yeah, I guess my final thought is, I look forward to the Celtics raising their next banner number up into the rafters before the Knicks get their next one. Because I still think that'll happen before the Knicks win. But
you mean the playing? You talking about the in-season tournament, right?
Well, no, in-season tournament means nothing. Who cares about that?
Here's the thing. Tatum's not going to be back. So when we raise it at the end of the year, there is no way that you guys are going to beat us to it because it's chip season for the Knicks. Whether you like it or not, Boston, accept it. It's chip season. All right. Knicks will be raising one in the rafters. Me and my boys will be celebrating on the streets of New York City with some Pursuit United in hand and Apollo and his family by my side. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful picture. And I'll be wearing a Pursuit United hat with orange Pursuit to match my blue and orange jersey. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you both. Thank you guys so much for your time. And like I said, I thank you guys because I support both of you guys and what you do. It's a pleasure to invite friends and people that, you know, have supported me and I've supported vice versa up on the channel. So thank you guys so much. And I will chat with you guys soon.
Thank you.
Later, fellas.
Later, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
That was fun. That was a good time.
Good time.
I like that. So, all right. So last few takes before we go to bed, because you're on 2 hours of sleep.
And 2 samples down too. So Lord,
and 2 samples down.
Good luck.
Yeah. And did you drink the full samples?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do that. So, you know, definitely on 2 hours, probably a little woohoo. You'll sleep well tonight. It won't be 2 hours though. So
it won't. It'll probably be about 7.
Yeah.
Get about 7.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be good. So, what are your thoughts on this upcoming game? What's something that you want to see different from the last game to make sure that we secure this W against the Celtics?
From last game, just compound on what you've already been doing. Just add more to it. Sharpen it. Hit your shots. You know, just get off to a good start and, you know, just continue throughout the game, get guys involved. Hopefully Jalen doesn't have another one of those games. He shoots 7% from the field. He's usually a good bounce back guy. He'll bounce back and he'll play better. But yeah, man, just for the guys to even if we lose, God forbid, which I don't think we're going to lose at this point. Anything can happen though. But, you know, my confidence is I believe we're going to win. But even still, I want to see us not take a step back, you know, just continue to take steps forward. If we lose playing the way we're supposed to play, so be it. You know what I mean? That's, you know, we'll live to fight another day. But I don't want to see us going out there trying to just win the game and do too much. And because it's a Boston rivalry and all of that, you know, let's just go out there and play the basketball that we're supposed to play. I hope Josh can play tomorrow. It'll be nice to see Josh tomorrow. We'll see. He's questionable. Mitch is not playing. It would be nice to see Josh play, come out the gate with the second unit and you know, just pick up where he left off last year. You know what I mean? And I think this team has a real possibility to be a really, really high level team all year long. You know what I mean? And it starts with how you begin your season. Yeah. So we started off yesterday. What it was? Yeah, we started off last night against Cleveland. One of the things I mentioned on my show that I wanted to see that we didn't see last year was us beating those top teams in the East and just in the NBA in general. I forgot what the record was last year, but it was 1 or 2 and something double digits, which was not good. Horrible. So to start off the season beating Cleveland and then, you know, to take it into a win versus the Boston Celtics, you know, that rivalry, it'll be a good way to start the year, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I agree with you. You know, keep building on the foundation that Mike Brown is putting in there. I'm not going to lie, man. I am a little bit concerned with what's happening with Mitchell Robinson.
I think it's the ankle.
Yeah. You know, like I love Mitch, you know, like especially what he started to do at the end of last season, you know, like I loved what I was seeing. But if I'm completely 100%, if it means that we're dealing with another season where he's going to play less than 50% of the season, we got to start moving on. Like we can't keep holding on to a player that is not going to be there for most of the season. Like his skill sets are incredible and elite, But if they're not on the court, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter that he's one of the best bigs in the league if he never plays? Like, I just don't understand. So I'm hoping and praying that we see him soon. I'm hoping that these back spasms stop soon. My brother's been dealing with some back spasm stuff as well, and that junk can be really, really frustrating because you can't pinpoint how to stop it, and how to fix it. Like a lot of other things, there's like certain trajectories of amount of time until it stops, and you do those things to get it, to healthiness. With back spasms, it's so hit or miss. They can pop up, they can disappear, they can come back. So I'm hoping and praying that Josh Hart is able to join us very, very soon. I'm hoping the same about Mitchell Robinson. I think regardless, we take that W tomorrow and we start the season off 2-0. And this is one of those seasons where I don't feel like I'm just jumping out the building, like a lot of other fans have before, like pointlessly. Like, I really do believe that we're going to have a season where it's going to be a few games before we even think about catching a W. If we play the way that we played yesterday, I think that there's very, very high hopes and aspirations for this team. And I really think that we're going to do something big. Shout out to my guy Fritz. He said if Mitch didn't re-injure his ankle, then he's permanently broken since it's the ankle. Yeah, and I agree. If he did re-injure that, then we're in some big problems. But before we end, this is a great note. My guy Lee Escobedo just came up. And so we're going to bring him to the stage for some closing thoughts on tomorrow's game and what he's looking to see.
Yo, what's up, y'all?
What up?
Good, Lee.
Two of my favorite knowers, two of my favorite Knicks fans, two of my favorite KOT family members. What's up, y'all? How you doing?
What's going on, bro?
Great to see you.
Saw you not too long ago, didn't I?
Hey, man, I appreciate that invitation, reaching out to me, let me be on your podcast. Meant a lot, bro. You got a great team over there.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on, man. Of course.
I just want to show some love before the night ends.
Appreciate you, bro. So what do you think about tomorrow? Like, I think we get the W, but we were just talking about the concerns with Mitchell Robinson being out again. My thoughts are, that, alongside you, Ebony, like we know how valuable Mitch is and how great of a center he is. But if he doesn't play, what does it do for us? So it is concerning to see this early in the season, some caution being, made with his health. So what are your thoughts on both Mitchell Robinson and also tomorrow night's game?
First of all, if I'm looking extra crispy, shout out my main man, Phil Porto, for giving me the tips and tricks and making my background and lighting way better. Got a rim light coming too, and a brand new mic. My boy Phil has been inspiring me, man. Because look at Phil's setup right now. He looks unbelievable. This is cinematic over here, so I'm just happy. I'm happy to be the dollar movie version of that. All right, let's talk Knicks, man. I definitely disagree with the take before I hopped on about moving on from Mitch if he's only going to give you half a season. I think you hold on to him now more than ever because of a depth that we have. This isn't like when we had just Sims and Precious. We got two young guys in Hot Porty and Trey Jamison the third that actually I don't mind Mitch being out and those two guys getting reps as a primary and secondary center. It's totally cool with me because both of them have good fundamentals. Trey Jamison showed in the preseason and last game he's a great screen setter. Me and Apollo talked about that on his podcast. Yep. And Hot Porty, he has that mid-range option, that floater, that push shot, and the pass in the short roll that reminds me of Isaiah Hartenstein. It must be a German thing, man. If you play basketball professionally in Germany, they teach you how to dominate in the mid-range because he sure as hell didn't learn that in America because the mid-range is all but obsolete in NBA basketball. So that gives us a nice weapon there that we really haven't had since iHeart's push shot, which was our maybe third best shot of our entire profile when those 2 years that he was here. He has a lot of grenade buckets to help close out possessions. And I like the Hot Porty brings that too, man. So to me, it's like keep Mitch on ice. Yeah. If he's only playing 35, 41 games, who cares? As long as he's healthy for the playoffs now, rather than we had Nerlens Noel or Vin Jericho, Sims, and Precious, now we have two guys that aren't rentals. They're long-term developmental assets that each year are going to get better under Mark Bryant and the rest of the coaching staff. I'm like, man, let's rock with it. To me, his contract, Mitchell Robinson at like $12 million this year, the extension, I imagine somewhere between 18 and 20. That's a super movable piece. Like that, it's not going to become an albatross contract. It's definitely not going to be in the cat area or the OG area or even the Brunson area. So as long as that thing is like manageable financially to stay under the cap, I would rather move on from Josh Hart so we can re-sign Mitch and Deuce, because both of them have shown me in the playoffs and Deuce last game that he's a must keep. That guy's unbelievable two-way dog. And then tomorrow, man, Celtics they're absolutely demolished. Their roster has lost so much talent, especially in the front court, losing Cornette, losing Horford, losing Jason Tatum injury, Porzingis in the trade, and then Drew Holiday in a trade. Anthony, that's a lot of pressure on Anthony Simons to be a playmaker. The pressure to score doesn't bother him because he can get a shot from the nail down anytime he wants.
Yeah.
Because of his first step in his athleticism. But can he shoot volume threes to help the spacing for Jaylen Brown? Or is that going to be something where every single defender can hedge and recover and make things really tough on them inside of a three-point line? Because their bid rotation, there's a lot of development there. I'm not going to call those guys bums because they're just trying to make the team. I tend to say bum for someone who's been in the NBA a long time and hasn't progressed. A lot of these guys in that rotation are new faces and new names, so I'm not going to give them that moniker yet, although they might earn it after tomorrow. Again, it's also a lot of pressure on Peyton Pritchard to be a playmaker, and that's not his primary skill set. Right. That's his secondary skill set. So either Derek White is going to start at point guard and then Pritchard will be the backup playmaker. That, to me, spells a lot of trouble because you're taking guys away from their roles, which was a catch-and-shoot role or the second or third option within an offensive set or the pick-and-roll guy. But now Jaylen Brown's going to be doing a lot of ISO and a lot of pull-up above the break threes, and that, to me, is Knicks' advantage. Because if we can, like when Donovan Mitchell started scoring all the points yesterday in the fourth, we got this.
Yep.
I'm not worried about it because that, to me, should be the philosophy no matter who you're playing. Let the best player go off as a scorer and don't let them go off as a playmaker. And if we can limit Jaylen Brown as a scorer and not as a playmaker, we'll win by double digits.
Yeah, that's a great take, man.
Yep.
For me, the Mitch concern is a concern, but that is a great point. And I do believe the same thing about the Celtics. They're not the same team that they were, which we were talking to, Keith about. It seemed like they looked at the Tatum situation and said, all right, it's kind of a semi-rebuild, no need to bring in these big contracts with a whole year possibly, thrown away. And these guys are good, but they're definitely not going to be contenders. The fact that Embiid had 4 points yesterday against them, and they still lost to the 76ers said a lot to me. So crazy. But I appreciate you guys. If you're not following Lee, follow him. Like he said, we were talking about lighting and everything, and this dude soaked it up like a sponge. This guy is one of those guys that loves his craft and constantly wants to push himself, whether it's on the tube or whether it's, in his writing, which is always, on point. This guy is one of those guys that loves doing things the right way and in excellence, and connecting with him a few weeks back in Dallas was a complete blessing. So follow my dude, Lee Escobedo. If you're not, always after games, him and the Nick of Time family is always bringing one of the best after game shows you're going to watch. So just subscribe to this channel and stop going to other channels. There's really no reason to. You can go to Guard Up Knicks, and that's the only one that you're really allowed to, go to, because those dudes are like extended family. But when it comes to everybody else, there's no reason to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's facts.
Salute. Appreciate the love, brother. Right back.
So I appreciate you guys.
Always, man.
Any closing thoughts, Apollo?
Regarding the Celtics, nah, man. And actually regarding the Mitch thing, I just feel like at this point we know what we get out of Mitch. Like you said, we have the guys to fill in for him. We don't have to find, like last year approaching the deadline, we didn't know who was going to be our starting center. You know what I mean? So that was a little bit of a difference there. And you had Sims, is why you moved Sims at that point. But at this point, we have guys that are very serviceable for what we need. And you can just let Mitch rest. You know what I mean? It could honestly at this point just be a slight concern. And they're like, you know what? Let's just let these other guys get some minutes, get some runs. We know how you're going to run. You know what I mean? These guys have been doing good. You get 100%. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as that, or it could not. At the end of the day, we have multiple pieces at that position that can fill the role that Mike Brown needs for our center. So that's all I pretty much.
I will say one thing in support of Phil's point to move on from Mitch. If this was Tom Thibodeau, I think I would have to agree. Yes. Because Tom Thibodeau would not have given Trey Jameson and Hotporty. Maybe one of them. Because I remember that Patom Dadier did play opening night last year in Tibbs' rotation. I think it was only by 12 or 13 minutes. But regardless, I don't think Tibbs would trust both young guys to be the center rotation. You would be seeing Yabusele at the 5, and then we would definitely be talking about a trade. Yeah. So Mike Brown played OG at the 5. So really, like Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. I mean, let's rock with the young kids and see what they got. It's an 82-game season. If Mitch is hoping for the playoff, he's won his 2 series before. I say let's make it 3.
Yeah. And I rock with that take, being able that we have those young guys that are now playing. I think more so my question is longevity, like it is a contract year, like having Mitch for this season, if he's going to be playoff eligible is definitely something we want. My question is, what does it look like moving forward? What does it look like when it comes to the big money extension? Like, do you throw big money extension into 30, 40 games a season? Is that something you really want to tie up your money in? I guess that's something we'll see, a little closer to the end. But
fair. I think it's going to take, there's going to be a decision to be made. Do you keep Deuce McBride and Josh Hart, or do you keep Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson? I think that's the inevitable decision that will have to be made, not now, but this following summer, because Josh Hart's salary would basically pay out the additional money added to both Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson. So that's why I said that in my monologue, is that I think that there's those 3. I move on from Josh first when it comes to Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and Deuce. Because, man, Deuce should be starting, but that's that's the hill I die on. I love Deuce so much, man. He's such a great shooter, not just catch and shoot. He showed a little relocation last night. The middies getting stronger, that state dribble is getting stronger. His ability to pull up in the mid range and hit that super high arcing shot. That's part of a Knicks identity now and part of our offensive bag. We need to keep that weapon.
Yeah. And that's a good point. The only thing I'll say is, how much is the front office still in Jalen Brunson's pocket, when it comes to, the guys that he keeps here? Like, is it one of those things where they keep, him here because of Jalen Brunson and his best friendship, and not ruffling feathers with your star player? I wouldn't do that. Like, I would think of the longevity of the team and stuff like that. But one thing I will say is that if Mitchell comes back after whatever's going on, let's say he only plays 40 to 50 this season, I think his expectations of what he receives in a new contract definitely need to reflect the fact that he has not been, healthy most of his time as a Knick. And that if they are going to give him an extension, regardless of his lack of availability, like, he should not be looking just at his numbers when he's actually playing, but also has to keep in mind the games that he's not playing. Because if he was playing 70 games a season with those kind of numbers, he deserves a giant contract, But when you're playing 40 games a season, 50 games, expectations need to be aligned a little bit. You're not going to get the same amount of money that a player who is available 70 games a year would get. That would be my only thing, was like, Mitchell Robinson would have to come to an understanding you're getting an extension regardless of your lack of availability. So allow the $ to reflect that. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
My question is, what is a healthy Mitch season games played wise look like? You know what I mean? I think 70 games from Mitch, you're asking for a lot. You know what I mean? I think you're asking for a lot. Not to say that he can't do it, but to expect Mitch to play 70 games, you kind of, you're lighting your foot on fire. To me, it's you kind of have to. I don't see Mitch a healthy season from Mitch, and I'm saying healthy because in order for him to be healthy, he has to take time off. So in order for you to get a healthy Mitch season, I'm looking at maybe 60 to 65 games tops. You know what I mean? And if we can hit 60 games, to me, give me 60 games, I'll take what Mitch is offering you. You know what I mean? And I'm fine with that. But if you're talking about 40 games, something around there, half a year, that's when the question kind of looms. And, you know, you start to talk about the Deuce McBride and Mitch things to make that move, or Deuce and Josh, whatever, at that point. But I think if he's giving you 60 games, if he reaches 60, 65 games this year, I think that's a win when it comes to Mitch.
Great take. I would tie in games played as bonuses. Maybe the annual salary is a little bit lower than what Mitch would like, but if he hits a certain metric, 55 to 62, an extra 20% kicks in between Brock Howard and Leon Rose. That feels like something that they not only would do, can do, and should be expected to do when it comes to his injury history.
Yeah. No, I think that's a beautiful take, Lee. Like that's genius. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, we want you here, you know, but we need you on the court, like to continue to win at the level that we want to win, you know, not because everything matters, you know, in the, you know, regular season, but to be in the position we want to be for the playoffs. We need you, you know, we need you there. We need you to contribute. And if you don't exceed this kind of number, this is your salary. Why? Because it's one of those things where it's like, it's work, you know, at the end of the day, it's work. You know, if I go to a job and I say, listen, I know you signed me up for 280 something days a year to work, but I'm going to show up for 160 this year. You know, like if they keep me on, that's a blessing. But I know that they're not going to give me the same salary of someone that shows up for 280 days of the year. You know, even if I'm really good at 160, I'm missing 120 days out of the year. You know, so I think that it would kind of be important to make sure that, you know, something like that is in the contract. You know, it's kind of like a commission type thing, you know, like the more work you're able to put in for us, the more we'll show you how valuable you are to us, you know, because that's where we need you. We need you on the court. So that's a genius take, Lee.
Especially if they're hired Casey Smith. I'm sure they're paying him a pretty penny for him to turn down other offers after being fired by the Mavs. I bet every other organization was trying to hire him to be a part of their front office. So the excuse can't be on the Mavs organization. They had the best physical trainer in all of the NBA. Even though he was the physical trainer for the Olympic team. That shows how prominent he is and how profound his skill set is. So the front office can't be blamed for Mitch missing games. Sure, there's accidental stuff he can't help in the course of a season, or a dirty player like Embiid's ass injuring him in the playoffs. But it's really up to him, his conditioning, how he eats, how clean he eats, how strict he stays to a diet, you know, how hard he's doing the cardio, not letting himself getting too big. I know about all these things. So I'm going to say it should be in his contract in order for him to get the money that he deserves, but he also has to earn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just to add a little bit to that, I think that when you talk, I forgot that we added Casey Smith in there, and that just makes me a little bit more comfortable with what's going on right now, because we have somebody who kind of understands a little bit more than guys that have been here before, or what's going on with, you know, how to deal with guys and injuries and stuff like that. So personally, I feel like it's just a precaution. It's a long season. And I think the guys are going to be fine. I think it's good talking points, because these conversations at some point might need to be had. But I right now, I'm not getting too concerned. I mean, of course, we want our guys healthy all year long. But when you're talking about a long year and guys who have had injury history, they're going to have to take some breaks. So, yeah, I'm not concerned just yet. But I do think that these guys are going to figure it out.
Yeah, I think both of those are great takes. Side note, a lot of us, well, not us specifically, but a lot of people were, you know, talking about signing Beasley now that he's out of all that like crazy drama that was there with the gambling stuff. Apparently, he's not out of the clear yet after everything that's just come out with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. There's going to be more investigation on his case. So we might have dodged a bullet, not even looking in that direction. But I appreciate all of y'all that have been here. This has been a weird night, honestly, when it's viewers, because numbers have continued to go up and down. But it's weird because the chat has been a weird thing tonight. So I appreciate all of you guys that have been rocking with us today. All of you guys that have stuck with us. Shout out to Pursuit Spirits. Shout out to my guy, New England Whiskey Keith, for being on and sharing his viewpoints of the Knicks from a Boston Celtics fan. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, where we get the second win of our season. It's going to be beautiful to continue to have nights like tonight where we could celebrate wins. Like, guys, this is going to be a joyous season. Like, how many times have we had to launch up the pods with a defeatist mindset of, wow, we looked horrible tonight, and not having to do that. Last year was the up and up of that, but I feel like this is going to be one of those things where there's going to be more joyous occasions than anything. What game are you watching right now, Apollo, above you?
I'm not watching the game. I'm scrolling through a bunch of different tabs, looking at.
Okay. I was going to say, let me know the score.
Oh, yeah. I'm going through Twitter, going through articles, just, cycling through a whole bunch of different things.
Well, shout out to the Pacers, because even with their rebrand, right now they are 2 points ahead of the Thunder in overtime, with Benedict Mathurin scoring 32 points so far.
He's my MIP pick, and you can never ever bet against Rick Carlisle, top 3 coach in the NBA.
And I heard that they're not going to extend him. I'm kind of shocked about that.
I know they don't let him go into restricted free agency.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd bundle up a lot of players for that kid. Like I would. No offense to our guys, but I would bundle up, some things for that kid. But appreciate you guys all so much. If you do drink, please drink responsibly. That's one thing we always want to make sure we say on this channel. Like, do not be belligerent about this. We don't promote whiskey to promote, life of craziness. We want to promote the flavors and the notes and the craft behind it. So if you drink responsibly. I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. Life can be hard. So if you have any concerns, you have any prayer requests, anything like that, you know where to find me on Twitter. You know where to find me on Instagram. Hit me up. Let's chop it up. Life can be crazy. It's great to have people alongside of you. It's great for me to have these guys alongside of me doing this thing called life. So I appreciate you guys. Lock in tomorrow night with Lee, with Jay Ellis, possibly with Fritz, Ebony, Ryan, as they break down how we beat the Celtics and went 2-0. Make sure you subscribe to the Guard Up Knicks podcast. Apollo and his crew are doing it big over there. Love that channel. Was connected with Apollo before him and I even started doing this show, where we had both of, he was on my show, I was on his, and I love what they're doing. So support those guys. And until next time, God bless and go Knicks. We will see you guys next week. Deuces.
Peace.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now.